Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live session at Inside IIM. With me today is a bunch of awesome ladies from the top B schools of the country, and we are here to know and learn about their wonderful summer internship experiences at some of the most coveted companies in different domains. Well, today's session is even more special as it is part of the Women's Month campaign that we are running at Inside IIM called Celebrating Her. Through our campaign, we aim to celebrate the success, failure, courage, dynamism, vision, and dreams of every woman. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Charul, and I take the pleasure in welcoming the four women we have with us today. Thank you so much, ladies, for making the time. Well, before we dive into the questions, why don't you all give us a quick introduction of yourselves? Let us know something about you and the companies you interned at. Let's start with Prerna.
Yes, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Prerna Raj. I am currently a student of IIM Calcutta and going to be passed out very soon in the next 7 days. As far as my summer internship is concerned, I interned in consulting domain at MasterCard. And post that, I was fortunate enough to get a PPO. I also sat for final placements for the dream offers. And finally, I am joining again as a consultant in Boston Consulting Group. So the journey has been amazing for me so far, not only in my internship, but also during my during my final placements. And one key takeaway for me, at least, was the summer internship journey is a great learning experience, and it helps you to not only learn the basic skills that you require, but also develops your overall personality and helps you in paving your journey ahead. So for me, it was a very, very good experience, even though it was online. And offline, obviously, it's definitely supposed to be much more fun and much more intriguing. So yeah, I'm open to questions. Thank you all.
That's great, Prerna. Firstly, congratulations on the PPO, and we'd love to know more about your journey going ahead in the conversation.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Charul.
Yeah. Priyanka, why don't you go next?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Priyanka, and currently I'm pursuing MBA from IIM Bangalore. So for my summers, I interned with Uber as a program manager. I received a PPO and I'll be joining Uber soon. So although the internship was in a virtual setup, still I got to interact with a lot of folks, learn from their journey, and I think I'll be able to help people who will be joining in similar domains. So looking forward to sharing my experience.
That's great. Thank you. Saloni?
Hi everybody, I'm Saloni and I'm from XLRI Jamshedpur and I interned at Standard Chartered where I received a PPO and I'll be joining the company soon. So as a fresher, I think it was a great learning experience for me as well, and it was the first experience at a proper corporate setup. Even though it was online, I feel the experience was great and it gave me a taste of how the corporate life is going to be going ahead.
That's awesome. Thank you. Tanvi?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tanvi, and I'm currently a student of XLRI Jamshedpur. For my summers, I interned at Nestle for a sales and marketing role. And as I joined my B school, I always wanted to pursue a career in sales and marketing, and I wanted to join an FMCG. And I had the privilege of joining one of the best FMCGs across the globe. Unfortunately, I did not get a PPO, and now I sat for my final placements, and I'm placed at Dabur. So I would love to share my experience with you all and what I learned, and looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you, guys. Okay, so let's get started. So our first question to you is, were you always passionate about the domain you received your summer placement offer in, or was it the other way around? Let's start with Priyanka.
So for me, I think before joining IMB, I was clear about the role. And even in my previous work experience, I was really excited about building products and processes. So for me, I was fortunate that I got the domain I wanted to.
Okay, so you're saying that your past experience actually helped you in understanding what you wanted.
Even my past experience helped me. Plus, before joining IMB, I was always curious about this role of getting into PM. So I think my past experience as a software developer also helped me, and I was fortunate to get what I wanted.
Makes sense. Thank you. Prerna?
For me, actually, it was a little different. My background is of forensic science, and I was not very much aware about what I wanted to pursue. Marketing interested me a lot, so I wanted to go to marketing. But during the summer placements in day zero, I thought I'll sit for consulting companies as well, and then Mastercard happened, and from then it has been really different. And during the internship, I think those 2 months were enough for me to decide that this is something that I want to pursue further, because I believe the width of the knowledge, the kind of projects, the kind of segments that you work when you are in consulting is very wide and it's very broad. And I believe it will help me in, making my learning curve even better, since I do not have any previous similar experience in corporate. So I wanted to get a flavor of all those little things, and that was my rationale behind going for consulting even in final placements. And yeah, that was the reason. For me, it was like I was exploring all the fields, and then consulting was something which I thought maybe let's give it a try, and I started liking it somehow.
Well, we see different opinions here. Somebody is coming from with a lot of research, and somebody who gave it a shot and eventually liked it. So that's great. Tanvi, what about you?
So since I was a fresher when I joined B school, I had not a lot of idea about what I wanted to do at first. But then I think I used the elimination method of what I did not want to do, and that worked out for me. So I was sure that I did not want to go into finance, or because I'm a non-engineer, I don't want to go into product management. So marketing was something that I thought I will really like. And as I studied a little bit of it in first term, and I think I really enjoyed it. And then I decided, okay, so this is something that I would really enjoy. And since I'm a fresher and I come from a non-engineering background, so getting into an FMCG marketing company was, I will say, pretty easy as compared to a lot of other candidates. And once I think, yes, so it was something that I really enjoyed and I got through it.
That's great. I mean, you explored, I believe, since you were a fresher, and considered a lot many options. And I hope that eventually you liked the role you were into, right?
Yes, definitely.
That's great. Saloni?
So I was very clear even before joining MBA that I wanted to do something in the finance field. Standard Chartered was the perfect fit for me, I believe. And even given my background, I'm a BCom honors graduate, and I also completed the intermediate level of the Chartered Accountancy course. So I was very clear that finance is the domain for me. But again, during the SIPs, I feel that I was eyeing on company which had good training opportunities after joining the firm. So here, as a management trainee, I get to explore 4 different fields after joining, to be very sure of which portion in the finance domain do I want to work on. So I think Standard Chartered was on my list somewhere, and it did work out well for me.
So from what I'm understanding, somehow all of y'all liked the roles you were into, and it eventually worked out for y'all. That's great. Okay, so like moving ahead to the next question. After you were finally placed, what were the skills you actually worked on? Or like in general, what are the skills people should work on, or make a list of the to-dos, so to say, before getting and starting their internship? Prerna?
Yeah, sure. So one very important skill, I am not sure if everyone has it, but I actually had it from very before, and I think that helped me a lot. You should try to have each and every interaction with all the people, especially if it's an online setup or even in an offline setup. You should have an agenda in your mind when you're talking, because now you are MBA graduates, and when you are supposed to be behaving in a certain manner. So I think having a predetermined agenda for whatever work you're doing, any meeting, any catch-ups, so that really helps. Apart from that, definitely the basic for consulting, the basic PPT skills and Excel skills, if you have it, very good. If not, at least brush up in the time left. You should be very detail oriented. Make sure nothing misses out, and the most important aspect is communication. make sure you keep your manager, you keep your project lead in loop, and make sure it's internship is mostly about your learning experience. So make sure you get the maximum out of it. You should not enter into it with a mindset that, you know what, I need to wrap up by 6 and then I'll be done. You can just be open to learning wherever it is. I used to push a lot, even at 9 o'clock meetings. I was like, can I just be a part of the meeting? I would just like to listen. So for me, it was that I wanted to learn a lot, because online MBA compromises a little on your experience. I mean, that's how it is for me. So I believe those 2 months is something in which you can learn a lot. I mean, for me, it was much more than what I would learn in an entire MBA in the first year of MBA. So you get to practice all those skills, and it actually helps you sharpen your business acumen and gives you a better understanding about what your skills are. You get to explore it, and I think that's how you find a fit about, if this is something you want to pursue further or not.
That's great. Thank you so much. Priyanka?
Yeah, I think Prerna covered pretty much, but I would like to add, like before, starting, what I did is I reached out to a lot of seniors who had interned in that company. So that definitely helped because I could learn from what mistakes they did or what went well for them. So for me, all those experiences I could inculcate, and that helped me. And then going on, further, what I thought is Microsoft Excel presentation. These are something which you can start practicing right on because you have some time in your hand. So you'll get a lot of free videos online which you can refer to. So that is something which is kind of a skill which is required in every domain, and especially for an MBA person. So these two things definitely helped me.
Those are actually called the basics, if I'm not wrong,
Right,
once you get into the MBA. Correct. Tanvi?
Yeah, so I can speak from my experience, especially in the FMCG sector, if you are interning there. So most of us as we know, we work under one brand, and then we get our project at least a week or 10 days before we start the internship. So if you have the time and you want to get an edge over other interns, so do read up intensively about what brand you're working under. For example, I was working with Maggie under the Nestle Professional team. So read about what is their product portfolio, what are the campaigns they've done in the past, and as Priyanka mentioned, that please talk to seniors who have worked in the organization. It really helps you out. The next thing I think that can help in marketing internships is that so half of your internship will be talking to other people and learning about what insights you get from them, and then inculcating in your project. So ensure that you are very proactive in all this, and from day one, start talking to as many people as possible, either both from the organization as well as outside the organization. Friends who can help you out, any relevant people who are working in the industry which is related to your project, if they can help you out. And another thing here is that if possible, I mean, from the beginning itself, once you get the project, start thinking about what are the different approaches from day one that you can take, because it's going to be very exhaustive, the whole project for 2 months. So, and you have to take ownership of it. So once you decide that, okay, then I can take this approach or that approach, it will not come in 1 or 2 days. So talk to as many people and then read as much as possible once you have the time.
That's great. Thank you so much. Saloni?
So like Priyanka and Tanvi just mentioned, I think talking to seniors who are there, who have interned in the company before, is the most important step before you start your internship. And do that sometime before, so have a good amount of time before your internship starts when you interact. So one thing which I feel is that understanding the role of where you're joining, what kind of work is expected out of you, what are the kind of projects that goes on in that department, so that when you're talking to your manager for the first time, you leave a good impression, and you are also clear of what you want out of your internship. So you need some time to soak in as to what you want in your internship. Do you want a project which you want to work individually or with a couple of team members, or something, say BAU work, that is business as usual work, where you want to interact with a lot of people, but the work will be not very specific to you. So those are things I feel you'll realize only when you talk to a lot of people, and that should happen before the internship. And again, the basics. So doing a couple of courses which are relevant to you. So I did a course on financial planning and financial modeling. So I think which helped me out a lot. And I did not have to waste time learning things while I was on the internship, and I could do that beforehand.
That's awesome. Thank you. So the one common chord which I'm able to draw amongst all your answers is networking and communicating with be it seniors or the professionals who are actually working in that particular company or industry, so to say, right? So thank you. Okay, so let's move ahead to the next question. How did you all manage to sail through during the initial days or weeks when you had started working? Because the culture was new, the people were new. So how did you manage all of it? Let's start with Prerna again.
Okay, so for me, one of the major highlight of Mastercard is its work culture. It's amazing. People are so helpful. For me, again, it was there were a few seniors who were working at Mastercard, so they were available they were just a text away. So that was great for me. And then from the very start, I made sure that I interacted with my manager. I made sure I asked maximum number of questions possible, so that I do not end up making mistakes which I don't want to. So for me, I was very proactive when it came to asking questions, when it came to reaching out to the seniors, the alumni from my college. So I reached out to them, and then again, I was very excited. I think you need to keep your energy really up at all times, especially in the first week, in the induction week. So that really helps. And again, then you are surrounded by your batchmates. Make sure you talk to them. We actually made sure that every day at the end of the day, we at the end of our office hours, we interacted, all 6 7 of us who were interning. We used to sit together and do chit chat and ask about what are your what are you going to do for the next day, how is your day plan. So I think that helps you, that emotional support is there. And apart from that, your seniors, if you reach out to them, everyone is really really helpful. So, and just be open to communication, as already pointed out by Tanvi, Priyanka, and Saloni. Just make sure you reach out to people. Do not like take it on you that you need to do everything on yourself and you need to make sure you're perfect from day one. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to learn, and it's okay to show that you have a great learning curve. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Priyanka, how was your experience?
Right. So, I tried to have constant conversations with my buddy, my mentors. And then once they introduced me to the team, so I, set up one-to-one with all of my team members. So that helped me gauge, what I am doing and how it will impact. And, if it is somehow connected to their project, so if they can help me. So that kind of, gave them a clear idea as to what I am doing. So then I could reach out and, seek advice from them also, because otherwise I felt like I was working in a silo if I was not talking to people. And this becomes especially important, in a virtual setup, when you think you don't know what others are working on, right? So once you start talking to people, you start getting an idea that, okay, this is where they are working on. Also for me, I told my manager that I wanted to shadow some calls. So if people were doing things, I would just join the meeting and see what is happening around. This was somewhat in the off hours when I'm not attending some meetings. And also, there were people from different geographies that I had to reach out to. So I thought how I could sync time with them. So all of this, just trying to reach out to people, because I felt that people were really helpful and they would also cooperate and see, if you're in a different time zone, so they would reply to you and how things work out. So
That's
all
great.
of this really helped me.
Okay. Thank you so much, Priyanka. What about you, Saloni?
Priyanka and Prerna have already mentioned, I think reaching out to fellow interns and to people who are your alums who are there in the company, that was I think the coping mechanism for me. And again, I think during my first call with my manager, the one of the good things which I felt was that we had a clear path on how are we going to communicate. So my manager was pretty open to normal informal texts and calls. While I came to know that many interns had to talk to them only via the formal way of mails or maybe on Skype. So I feel whenever I had a problem, I could reach out to him directly, or he had introduced me to some of his team members. So whenever I had a problem, I could go to them and clear out before making any huge mistakes. And again, talking to some of my interns, knowing that others are also going through the same things which I am going through, helped out a lot during the start.
That's great. Thank you. Tanvi?
Yeah, so at the time when we were doing our summer internship, it was the time of the COVID wave. And unfortunately, the first few weeks were very tough for me because both my manager and my buddy were not available at first. But I think this was the time when I learned how to involve all the stakeholders at hand. And the first one being other people who were there in my department. And how do I make my presence? Because that's one of the most important things in your internship, that everybody, or at least in our department, should know that there's an intern who's working. And it at the end of 2 months, that's your presence and how much effort you've made to know more about the organization, to work with everyone, teamwork. That's what matters to them. So first few weeks is more about how the organization works, how the brand works, if you're working under some brand, and then talking to as many people as possible. I think one good feedback that I got also, and I think everyone should do is, so most of the times we think twice before asking some questions. Maybe it can be stupid and the other person will judge us, but that is absolutely wrong. If you're starting your career, the best thing is to ask as many questions as possible, even if it's the director. So we had a one-on-one call with the director of our business unit, and I think in that also it was in the first week of our internship, and that was one of the most insightful things, because you could ask as many questions as possible, and that actually helps make a very positive impact on them, that you're a very curious person and you want to come to the organization to learn.
Right. That's great. Thank you. So, I mean, based on everything you have said, all of y'all right now, I'd just like to tell our viewers who would be starting their internships, please take the initiative, break the ice, communicate with your managers and your colleagues. I believe things would be much easier. Okay, so on this note, I'd like to take a question we have in the comment section. So this person says that my summer internship is in finance, but I want marketing in the finals. Does this internship benefit me in any way? Any of you can take it up.
So maybe I could help a little. So there are cases which have happened even on our campus where people have interned in the finance domain and then switched to marketing. So one of the important factors is the campus you are in. So for example, XLRI is a marketing campus. So people have switched their domains here easily because more marketing companies come here. The second thing is there are some companies which look for people who have multiple set of skills. So some finance companies also look for people who are good at finance but can do sales, so that they are on the front end and they can deal with clients and make pitches there. So similarly for marketing domain, sometimes there are which are ratio intensive or need to deal with a little bit of the interactions with the finance department. So there are certain roles for which companies do want people who have some exposure to it. But at the same time, if you want to switch to a different domain in your finance, they should, I feel, do more case competitions related to marketing, or go for live projects with some known brands, so that the recruiter, when they look at your CV, they are very sure that, okay, even though there is an internship in the finance domain, that person is interested in marketing and has some knowledge about it. I think that will help make the switch easier.
Thank you. Tanvi, you were saying something?
Yeah, I just want to add on here. So how your final, since I sat for final recruitment, so I know what they usually see. So what they see is what you've done in the past 2 years and how your interests align, and what are the skills you've gathered in these 2 years through what you've done. So as Saloni mentioned, case competitions is a very good idea. There are a lot of marketing case competitions, especially by top FMCGs, which are conducted every year. And the second is do live projects, which are very easily available in the marketing domain, and highlight those strong points in your CV once you sit for final placements. And this question will be posed to you: why do you want to shift to marketing after having a finance internship? So be sure of that answer, and if you're able to convince them why, it's not that difficult. And also there are very small things that you can do. For example, if you have a major in marketing, then you can showcase that you have a very good score in marketing. So do that in the second year. Or probably some subjects which you have a very good score and they are in marketing, those you can highlight in your CV to show more interest.
Right. Thank you so much. Priyanka, Prerna, do you have something to add to this?
I think irrespective of the sector you intern at in your summer internship, you have a very good chance to get placed in some other sector of your preference in the final placement process, because I think it's designed in such a way. At summer internship, you may take a shot at say sales and marketing, and then you wanna say do consulting. So it's like a testing phase that you do even for yourself. And in order to go into say a particular sector in finals, you need to make sure that you have utilized the next part of your MBA journey in a certain manner, looking forward to what are the kind of CV points that they look when they give the final shortlist in the final placements. So you need to align yourself with that. Keep a diverse profile. It's okay, because in MBA, I think as you are exploring, so are the campus the people who so the hiring managers also are also looking at diverse people, and I think they're open to the options. It's just about again, as already pointed out, how you have utilized the 2 years in your MBA. So I think if that is something you have done well, you can convince the person on the other side. In my case, my friends who had interned at HUL in Summers went to Bain, went to McKinsey. People from marketing have come to consulting. People from consulting have left a PPO and went to marketing. So it's a beautiful thing that happens, especially in these B schools, that you get an opportunity to choose twice. So I think that's a great thing.
That's great. Thank you so much. Priyanka, do you have something to add to this?
I would just say that, given that you have an internship, it will give you an idea that, if you really want to change your domain, one is this thing. And then obviously doing an internship gives you a flavor of how, the corporate world looks like. So don't use this opportunity, take ownership, follow a structured process. At least this will help you further. So it will, doing an internship in a different domain will never go waste. It will just help you for preparing you better for the future.
Thank you so much. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. I mean, this is a little interesting question. What are the common mistakes people generally do during their internships? Or supposedly, if you were given to relive your internship experience, what are the things you would want to do differently? Let's start with Prerna.
Firstly, I would like to do it in an offline setup if given a chance. So that is one thing. And things I would like to do differently, I think it won't be much for me, because I think that entire journey wherein you explore new things and you actually get to know what are your skill sets and then work on that. So I think that was one thing that I learned during the journey. And the best thing is, if you just go with a curiousness, enter into that journey, you will be able to learn more. So I think I would just keep that energy and that curiousness high. And apart from that, definitely I would like to do in an offline setup, so that I can have more people at random coffee conversations rather than sending them Zoom invites for a catch up and sitting for a half an hour call in front of a laptop. So that is one thing that I would do differently, and I think I would be able to connect with more people in an offline setup. So that was different. Anything else that I would like to change? Maybe if I would have known what were the exact skill sets required, I would have worked more in that direction, because a lot of things I learned on the job. So for me, it was I got my first project, I got started into my first project, and I had this lot of data in front of me, and I started panicking. And then I reached out to my senior, and then she had to actually explain. And so I would maybe reduce that panic from my part by being a little more prepared beforehand. But again, that is something which is achievable if you decide to put in the right amount of effort. So yeah, that's it for me.
Awesome. Thank you. Priyanka?
Yeah, I think since Prerna covered that reliving part, so maybe I can focus on some common mistakes.
Right.
I think one is that people usually don't have a clarity on their deliverables. Like people say that they will once they are in the mid, then they will seek feedback. So what happens is, let's say that something is not working out, so then they get a setback of 2 to 3 weeks, and given that you just have 8 weeks time, so if you lose even a week's time, it's very difficult to recover. So I would say that what I would do is every Friday I would get a feedback that this is what I've done in the entire week, and if I'm on track or not. So that helps to ensure that you're on track. And other is, I would say that some people would leave their presentation deck for the very end. So even for that, you can just start, like, once you're in the mid, you can prepare something for a rough draft or something, and then you can finalize it in the later weeks. So these two things, if, like, you do it on time, then you can, like, by the end of 8 week, you'll be done properly. So these two things really help me.
That's
Like
great.
having
Thank
a
you.
clarity on deliverables and keeping up to date your presentation.
And I hope that even you would want to relive your internship in an offline
Right,
setting.
yeah, that is definitely something our batch would want to do.
Great. Tanvi?
Yeah, so a few things. So whenever you start your internship in the first week itself, you will form a timeline of what are the deliverables that you want to achieve by the end of every. So make sure to stick to it. And if your project does not allow you to stick to it, because in the middle there will be a lot of changes that come up, new ideas that are stemming out, and sometimes the older ideas won't work. So make sure that you have a specific plan in mind, so that 2 weeks or 3 weeks later you are not just out of confused that what have I done in the past 2 3 weeks. Another thing that can be worked out is that make sure to keep your manager and your buddy in loop of what you're doing every single day. Mail it to them at the end of the day that these are the things that I've done, and these are the things that I'll do in the tomorrow. And similarly, do that for your. So there's something called a mid review as well as a final review. So what they look at in these two reviews is mainly what is the approach and what is the methodology that you have taken in the past few weeks. So have a very, very clear structure as to what you've done, as to what was required out of you, what was the approach you took to follow it, and what is the deliverable final result that you're giving to the organization. If you're able to sort these 3-4 things out, I don't think it's a problem then.
That's great. And any particular mistake that you think people do, like or have been doing around you?
So yeah, I think it's something that I did also maybe. So I was given a project which was not very conventional. So when I got the idea, I was like, okay, how do I work on this? And there were times, sorry, when I was very confused whether or not I should take the unconventional path. Should I pitch this idea to my guide? Will she like it or not? But in the end, what matters is you pitch the idea. If they don't like it, maximum they'll say it's not a good idea. You take the risk and tell the idea, and that's what they're expecting out of the intern. They also have worked on the idea at some point of time. Now they want a new brain, a young brain to work on it. So even if it's unconventional, just give it a try and mention it to your guide.
That's great. Thank you. Saloni?
So I feel most of the points have been covered. Just to add on maybe a little bit to what has been said already. So one thing which I tried doing, which I had missed out on during the couple first weeks of my internship, was that keeping everything on the mail thread. So I started maintaining a mail thread with my manager. If I was working, even if I was working with some other members on the team, I used to update that this is the work I've done, and maybe this is something which I'm working on, and this is something which I need your help on. So that when at the end of your internship, when your manager is trying to evaluate how your performance has been, he can just go to that mail thread and check out the entire conversation that has taken place in the last 2.5 months, so that it becomes easier for him to rate you accordingly. So I think that helped me. And another thing was maybe that it was advice given to me by a senior as well, that whatever you're doing every day, just make sure you note it down. Even if you're not, like Priyanka said, that you should maintain a PPT, that is the ideal case. Even if you're not able to do it, at least note down the points, so that when you're making your presentation for before your final presentation has to go in, you have the entire set of work that you've done, and what were your key learnings, what were some of your mistakes, what are some of your ideas that you would want to implement, so that you do not miss out on anything when you're going for your final presentation.
That
These
helps.
two things.
Thank you. So we have a question for us. Do we get another shot at the particular company if we have already received the internship? Can we go for consulting if we have already received an offer from marketing or, let's say, sales from that particular organization? Any one of you can take it up.
So I think this is something we have already covered, that in final placements you can definitely get a shot at some other company. I mean, you can change your domain, provided it's true for anything. Even if you want to be in the same sector, you need to work accordingly. I mean, take relevant live projects, as it was already pointed out. Make sure you maintain a decent CG. Make sure you are a part of a lot of extra currics and other position of responsibilities. Make sure you make a very diverse CV. For me, I actually managed to change almost 60% of my CV from summers to finals. So that change actually shows how much of an active person you have been throughout in your MBA journey, and I think it leaves a very good impression on the person on the other end. So if you are able to change your CV a lot, if you are able to add a lot of diverse skill set, so that shows that you are a person who can actively take up any work, and and I think that is one of the most important aspect that the people who are hiring look into you. In terms of the actual work, I think you get a lot of time to learn, and since you are MBA graduates, trust me, you can actually learn anything within a very short span of time. That is one thing that MBA teaches you. Give us any work, and I think we'll somehow manage to do it within the deadline. So just keep up that spirit and make sure you just do not relax once your summer internships are done. Just keep working for another 2 terms, and you will be very happy at the end of it. So yeah.
That's great. Thank you. So now we have a question on the PPO, which is something, the buzzword which goes around the summer placements. So what do you think are the factors which the companies consider before offering any candidate a PPO? Let's start with Saloni this time.
So I feel that even before your internship starts, so the evaluation criteria varies from every company to company. So I think talking to your senior, probably your buddy, which is assigned to you during your internship, is very important because they have an appropriate knowledge of what the evaluation criteria is. So for my company, I came to know that many of my fellow interns did not know this, that there was an independent project which was given to us, which we had to work with other interns. So that carried a lot of weightage for the final conversion which had happened. So understanding what your evaluation criteria is important. The other thing was there will be some training apart from the basics. There was a training module which was given to us. So normally people do not do that seriously if the course is known to us, but that also had some weightage during the evaluation criteria. So these were some different things which helped me convert my PPO. But other than that, the basics are the kind of initiative you take, the amount of work that you've done. And apart from the work that was assigned to you, how much effort did you put in to know what other work is there? Did you take on something extra? How much have you interacted with your team? So before making the decision, usually the team has a conversation about the intern. So it is important that there is at least some interaction with every team member so that they have an opinion of the kind of work you do, the kind of person you are. So I think these are some of the few things.
That's great. Thank you. Tanvi, like as you mentioned, you did not get a PPO. So from the whole experience and procedure, what have been your insights?
Yeah, so I'll just like to say this, that sometimes a PPO is complete. Like there are things that you can do, you can give your best, but things might not work. It did not work out for a lot of people in my batch as well. Their internships was very good and they were expecting it as well. So one thing is, what is the requirement of the company? What is the requirement in your team? Now that is something that is completely out of your control, and you cannot ensure if or not you get the PPO. But some of the things that you can do to make it better is, I think, first of all, ensuring that your presence is known in the organization, from the HR to fellow interns. You talk to everyone possible, especially in your department as well as other departments. You make sure that you know some of the projects about other interns, and you are lend a helping hand, especially in an offline mode, because these things are considered. What mainly they're looking at is whether or not you're a culture fit for that company, and of course your work ethics. Then the next thing is ensure that you have a very structured approach, and I think this was given a lot of importance on how are you going about the whole process in the 8 weeks. Like, you're not doing the maximum work in the last 1 or 2 weeks. That will not work out.
Right.
Just before your final presentation. And the next, sorry, and the next thing is, how do you so for a marketing project where you have to work on one brand, how are you ensuring that each stakeholder, how are you interacting with them, from someone to the director to someone from a salesman of that company to someone from a street vendor who sells that product? If you have to talk to all of them, are you able to do that or not? So this works wonders if you're able to show your, and of course keep a good healthy relationship with your guide and buddy, and then it's and if it does not work out after that, just take it as a learning experience like I did, and you'll get a better company in the final.
Like you did, obviously. So, I mean, during your final placements, did you do something differently, like while applying or while sitting for the placements?
Yes. So once I got to know that I've not gotten a BPO from
Yeah.
STA, so I spent my entire second year working to build a CV in the domain that I really wanted to go in. So I did a lot of case competitions, and then I did a lot of relevant live projects. So when my final interview happened, I had so much to talk about what I've learned in the past 2 years, and how I'm a good fit for that role, especially because I have worked in similar organizations. Trust me, if you don't get a PPO, you have one of the best talking points for a final project, because that is where half of your interview will go on what you did and what are the learnings that you had. And if you do not work well in the summer internship project, you won't even have something good to talk about in your final interview. So do that no matter what, even if you don't like the company that you are going to intern at. And I think I think that's it. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, what about you, Priyanka?
Yeah, I would say, see, some factors are in your hand. Like, you have put in effort, you're taking constant feedback, you're improvising, you're completing your deliverables. So one is that, like, for me, the evaluation criteria was clearly defined. Like, they were testing the skills of a PM, what are the documentation skills, the stakeholder management skills, and then my deliverables. And plus, for me, mid-review was a very good chance. Like, during mid-review, I got, like, a clear picture that things are on track or not, how much more effort I need to put in, given that I have the half of my internship left. So mid-review is something which one can take very seriously. And then the things which are in company's hand, like, what are the headcount that they're looking for, whether the team is really looking forward to taking people, and then definitely the cultural fit that Tanvi mentioned. So I would say these two things, like the factors which are in your hand, do take control of them and utilize them well. And then whatever is in company's hand will obviously depend.
Makes sense. Thank you. Prerna?
So I think they have talked about a lot of points about the company fit and the other aspects. So for me, I remember post my end review having a little informal conversation with my manager. So she's our alum only. She's I think 6-7 years senior to us. So she told me that the one quality that I was looking forward to was proactiveness, and that you showed from day one. And I think that is something which worked out for me. And I'll not say it was a conscious effort taken by me, but what I did when I joined, when I got to know who my manager was, I actually reached out to a senior or two who had worked with the same manager previously, and actually got to know what does she like and what she doesn't, what is her way of working, how her MBA journey was, what kind of a person she is. And I just made sure that I at least get the ticks that she expects from me to do. So that is one thing that I think I did at the beginning, and it worked out for me. It may or may not work out for everyone else. One another thing that I did was, apart from the mid reviews and end reviews that were there are other seniors from your college who are supposedly really senior, 10 years, 12 years. So I had set up one-on-one calls with them, and I talked to them about their internships and what would they change. Post my mid-review, I made sure I reached out to them about their reviews as well, who were not present during the mid-review. And whenever you are given a feedback in mid-review, you cannot make that same mistake again. That is a strict no-go zone. So I think never repeating a mistake that you have done, and taking the feedbacks very seriously. Make sure you work on it in the very next thing. And I think that is a thing that's common in consulting also. When I sat for final placement, so you have buddy calls for going on for an entire month. And so whenever you do a case, what happens, you are given certain feedback. And what does not matter is if you reach at the end result or not. What matters is if you do not repeat the mistake that you did in your previous case, and how well you have worked on the feedback. So I think that one thing is constant, which all people look at. So working on feedbacks and reaching out to people, and getting a lot of diverse opinions, even when you say want to get a feedback on your mid review. So if you talk to 10 seniors, you will get at least 5 different types of reviews. Someone might say this thing is right and someone might say this is not. So you have to obviously take your call that is there. But again, you need to understand the expectations of your manager, because I think that's a very important aspect when it comes to PPO. So that was one thing that I think I did and maybe
worked out. Yeah, sure. Okay. So we have somebody raising a question in the comment section saying how much time is it given to the PPO holders to accept any offer? How much time were you guys given after you were offered the PPO? Okay.
It's a week or 10 days for me. I think that was the thing.
And I mean, yeah.
But again, I'm not sure about all the other colleges, but at IMC, when we accept a PPO at that time, and then during final placement, so that's a tentative acceptance that you, I'm talking only about IIM Calcutta, I don't know about other colleges. So that's a tentative acceptance. And when you again go for final placements, just before your final placements, a month before or something, when the process starts, then a form is actually floated by your placement team, and they ask if you there are 3 options: if you wanna reject the offer, if you want to accept the offer with dreams, or if you want to accept the offer and oops out of the process. That's the terminology we use here.
Right.
So there are 3 options that time also, which I think happens somewhere around at the end of January or at the end of December. So that's where IMC, you can at that time accept, and later on looking at the final lineup or your CV or the market, you can decide to go for dreams or accept the offer and just move out of the process and go for reject the offer.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so let's move on to the next question and address the elephant in the room, which you have been talking about time and again, the virtual internship. So, I mean, in a virtual internship setup, how are you able to judge a company or its culture? Because you're not able to directly meet the people and interact with everybody at one go, so to say. Let's start with Tanvi.
Yes, so I think it starts with the very small things. How is your first call? How is your induction process? Whether or not you have to call them sir and ma'am or by their first names, are very, very small things. And you have to be very, very careful about all this. So you start by calling them sir and ma'am. And if they say call us by your name or by their name, then only you start doing it. So very small steps that you have to understand and smartly make your way through. And another thing is, so there are a lot of times when people will be extremely busy and they will not be able to give you time. Now, how do you take that? Do you sit back and, okay, now I mail them once, I'm going to wait for their mail for another week or a reply? No, you mail them again after every 2 days, even if they think you're troubling them, because that's what you have to learn as an intern, and you have to convince them that they have to give some precious time. And talking about the culture, I think, one, please talk to seniors about how the organization works, learn the little tips and tricks about, and you can also, speak to an immediate senior. So for example, you can speak to someone from our batch who has worked under the same boss, if it's possible, because that will help you get a very personal advice on what will work and what won't. And coming to the culture, I think one thing that is very common in all organizations is that they respect teamwork and have a lot of and are ready to help interns at any time possible. So it's just how proactive you are and how sweetly you're asking them for help. That's it.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, so I believe all 3 of you all had the PPOs. So what actually made you realize that this is the culture you want to move ahead? Sena?
So I'll tell a little example that we had in our intern cohort. So one of my batchmates, she fell sick in the very first week. She got COVID, and post 2 weeks she recovered, kind of. She was hospitalized. But after that, whenever she was asking for more work from her manager, the thing that he said was, you know what, you need not be overworked. And she was so well taken care of during the entire internship. It did not affect her mid review. Her mid review was exempted, and she was solely judged on the other weeks that she had worked on. And she also got a PPO. So I think little things like this help you understand how much of a value you will hold in that company as an employee. Apart from that, how considerate your managers are. I remember one of my project leads actually telling me on a Friday afternoon that it's a no meetings Friday post the second half of the day. So I don't want to see you online. So you can just go and have fun. So I think these are small little gestures that people do for you, which actually make you understand that even when you join the company, honestly, I am still connected with all the people from Mastercard. I still have conversations with them. So I think it's about the connect that you develop. You will understand that it's very evident. The HR is very helpful. The internship team, your project lead, your managers, your previous seniors who have worked there. So it will actually help you in understanding when you when you come face to face with such a problem, that how well approachable the people in the company are. And just bluntly ask them about their work life balance. I mean, people are honest when it comes to that. If you're talking to a 5-6 years old senior, he'll not just sugarcoat and see that it's very chill, and at the end you realize that, you know, I did not sign up for this. So I think just people are very open when it comes to this. The trade-off is very evident. And I think with these organizations who are really old, you have a bunch of seniors who have their own share of experience. So everyone knows what is the most valuable part of that company. Some companies boast about their work life balance, some companies boast about their culture, and some companies boast about their projects. So it's your decision, what do you want to sign up for.
That's great. Thank you. Priyanka, what about you?
Right. So for me, I would say firstly, my mentor and manager were the two people whom I reached out to, like, maximum times. And they were like the ones who like really made life very simple for me. Like, even I remember during my mid review, since like, they were located in a different geography, it was around 6 a.m. for them. And like, it was around some evening time for me. So they were like very adjustive. And even all those fun Fridays, like, they would say how they can like, include me. So they would change the timing of certain things. And even the HRs, like they were really, so they would organize fun sessions for all the interns and made sure that we were able to bond. So all these small gestures like really show that, people care for you. So all of this kind of gives you motivation that, okay, you also want to work for this company.
Right. That helps. Thank you. How was your experience, Saloni?
So I feel I had an amazing experience, but during our internship, not only was it on the virtual setup, but I think the second wave was at its peak, and the condition in India was especially bad. So during even those testing times, the manager was extremely empathetic. So in the company, whenever I interacted with anybody, even if it was a random person I'm speaking to for the first time, they made sure that their first question was that, is everything okay at your family and how are you doing? And only then did they proceed to talk about work related stuff. So that is something which I felt was very considerate of them. And there was some problem with my manager's family. So he made sure that he called me and he told me that I'll be unavailable for a couple of days. So this is the person that you go to, and I'm always available over mail to do that. And when I was going through some issues at my home, he took care that I did not have to take extra pressure, even though I was okay. I was able to handle the work which I had, but he made sure that I did not have to take on extra work, and that others in his team knew that I was going through something, and he took care of it. So I think that was the decision point for me, that this is a company whose culture is good for me.
So I'm guessing that even though it was virtual, still you were able to understand and, make through to the best places you wanted to. Okay, that's great. And let's move on to the last question for the day. And I'd like you all to please sum up the learnings you have had from your internship experiences. Let's start with Saloni.
So the first learning was that it is whatever plans that we have, even for the future or for the internship, it is important to discuss with your manager and be sure that you are on the same page, so that the expectations my manager and I have from my internship and from the company are very clear, and we do not make any wrong decisions regarding my career. The second thing is that we have to be very proactive, not just during the internship, but otherwise when we are joining later as well, because that is something which they are looking for as a manager. And it is expected that, especially in a virtual setup, that when there are hindrances, you are proactive and you take on responsibilities and initiatives yourself. And again, the third thing is to interact with as many people as possible, so that you realize the kind of work that there is in the company. And even if they are willing to give you people, do you actually want it or not? So to understand that, are you a fit for the company? Is it aligning with your long-term goals? And are you okay with the kind of work hours that is expected out of you? Because that is the 2 months when you get to experiment things and know about the company. Nobody else can do that for you. So take that as an option to explore about the company and know if it is a good fit for you.
That helps. Thank you. What about you, Tanvi?
Yeah, so I've had a great experience and a lot of learnings from my internship. So the first one will be, I think, understand the company, the brand, the project, and every other initiative that the company is doing from end to end, because you you're an employee of that company for 2 months, so you have to know everything about the company and be proactive enough to ask people the right questions and know what are the things that they're working on, and you're actually interested to know. They should see how interested you are to be a part of them. The second thing is you should work on this. So if your project is vast, try taking up small steps and then looking at the details of how you can make it better, and take as many responses, as well as talk to as many stakeholders as possible, so that you're able to get various inputs. Because when we are working, we have only one perspective. Now if you talk to 15 people, they'll give you 15 other perspectives, and look at what is the best and what you think is most relevant, and then discuss it with your guide or buddy, whoever is relevant. And I think the last one will be ask as many questions, and then be a part of the team. So talk to your fellow interns, talk to people from other departments, because that will help broaden your perspective. And if you're made a fault, or you think you went the wrong way, just accept it and make sure that you correct it, and give a very good response the next week whenever you have a call with the manager.
That's awesome. Thank you. Priyanka, what about you? Your sum up?
Yeah, I would say, see, firstly, it's very important to follow a structure. Like for me, what I did was I drafted backwards from week 1 to week 8 how my internship journey is going to look like. So having that proper structure helped me made sure that I delivered everything on time. Second is take ownership of your work. Like it's very important, especially when you're joining as a manager, that you will be the one who will be responsible for your work. You cannot make any such like you will be the one who will be responsible and answerable. The third, I would say, is clear and constant communication. Like you have to be in constant touch with your managers, mentors, seek feedback, ask as many questions as you can. Also see, ask them constantly what the impact of your project is going to be. So these three things I would say have been the biggest learning from my internship.
That makes sense. Thank you. Prerna?
Yeah, I think I agree with all the 3 points Priyanka mentioned. So these 3 are the most important. I'll not waste time by repeating the same. Apart from that, I think one of the key learnings that I had was I worked on multiple projects during the span of 10 weeks that I had. So make sure you have that energy to parallelly work on projects and the switch that happens. So that is something you learn if you get to work on multiple projects. And you need to make sure that when you work on, say, 2 different projects, there are a different set of people that you work with. So your interaction with each person has to be different. Everything, there is no just one formula that's going to work in every case. So that is there. Apart from that, you will learn stakeholder management a lot. You will your people management skills will improve. Your communication communication skills will improve. If it's a consulting internship, definitely your storyboarding skills and your analytical skills are something that's gonna improve, and you will, when you come back from the internship, I at least got that you will have a detailed dive when someone does a very stupid error in a, say, PowerPoint presentation or Excel. I think that is something you develop eventually when you work very sincerely in those 8 or 10 weeks of your internship. So I think that was it for me. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. And I mean, if I can wrap up the whole session and the learnings which you all have given us for the viewers, please communicate with your immediate bosses, with your managers, with your colleagues. Reach out to them, break the ice, and I hope that things would be easier. All the best to the people who would be starting their internship soon. And with that, it's a wrap for today. Thanks a lot to all four of you for the enriching discussion. I'm sure all our viewers must have gotten some tips and learnings from it. Also, to all our viewers, as part of the Women's Month campaign, we at Inside IIM are conducting quite a few activities on our platforms. So please feel free to check the details in the description below. Thanks for joining in. Bye-bye.